All right, so Democratic consultant, Democratic strategist, whatever you want to call him, James Carville, he did a podcast here, and he's going to take some shots at Jon Stewart. Apparently, he saw that video of Jon Stewart's breakdown of the election and Kamala losing and what Democrats are blaming, and Carville is not too happy with Jon Stewart's take. Let's watch.
You have to create your own moments. And I know, and there's this kind of big post-mortem, I can't stand the W word. And I call it identity politics. You can imagine what I think the W word. It sickens me to even use it because the word is so noble and so glorious in its origin. And it was mostly by musicians, black musicians, Ledbetter, saying that it was advisable in the 20s or 30s, whenever it was, for black people to be aware of the interactions with police. And of course, overeducated white people, NPR people got a hold of the word and of course ruined it for fucking everybody. And so the discussion now, I saw Bill Maher, I saw Jon Stewart, I saw different people, and did it hurt us? Of course it hurt us. And so Jon Stewart says, well, it couldn't have hurt because no Democrat ran on it. Of course they didn't run on it, because it was, even to the most clueless progressive that you could imagine by that time, they knew it was a disaster.
So he's saying that wokeness, identity politics did hurt us. And he's taking a direct shot at Jon Stewart for doing that segment that he did where he kind of mocks it as this hilariously stupid and off-base notion. James Carville has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. If he actually watched through that entire Jon Stewart piece, he would have seen Jon Stewart give multiple examples of Democrats doing the opposite of what James Carville is implying here. In other words, there were plenty of Democrats who were like, bro, you guys know me. I'm not in favor of sex changes. Literally, there was a Democratic ad where one of them said that. There was a Democratic ad where a number of them, where they're running on the issue of the border and being the toughest on the border. In other words, taking Republican issues and trying to be like, bro, I'm actually even stronger on this issue that I'm totally giving into your framing on. So in other words, Kamala and many Democrats both ran the platonic ideal of the non-woke Democrat campaign. But yet they're still saying it's wokeness is the problem. It's not. Kamala, as I pointed out 1,000 times, Kamala never mentioned race. Kamala never mentioned gender. Kamala never mentioned Latinx or trans people or political correctness or cancel culture. She didn't mention any of that. She ran on freedom. She ran on patriotism. She repeatedly stressed she would represent all Americans. She ran right-wing on the border. So, in other words, the Democrats do exactly what people like James Carville wanted them to do. And then he's like, well, you should have somehow done it more like I wanted you to do it, even though you did it exactly like I wanted you to do it. What the fuck? And by the way, here's a great point. Crystal actually made this point the other day, and it didn't even occur to me, right? That, okay, when was the last time the Democrats won the presidency? 2020. The 2020 DNC is literally peak wokeness. Fucking Black Lives Matter sign behind Elizabeth Warren talking at the DNC, right? This was around the era that Nancy Pelosi was doing that weird kente cloth kneeling. So when they were more woke, they actually won, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's the magic recipe, because the fact of the matter is I think COVID was more responsible for the Democrats winning. It was a return to normal election because Trump had botched COVID in 1,000 different ways, and he was just a fucking mess. But clearly, this guy's analysis and these sorts of people, they're just wrong. I know he wants it to be the case that, you know, Democrats go way more conservative on social issues and that's how you win, but it's just not the case. I'm sorry, it's just not the case. Here's the issue, guys. Democrats repeatedly are giving into Republicans' framing of the world, because the Republican framing of the world is, okay, yes, we get it. This country's fucked up. You're angry. We're angry. We feel your pain. But let me tell you why the country's fucked up. The country's fucked up because of immigrants. The country's fucked up because of trans people. The country's fucked up because of Hollywood and democratic elites and cultural elites. That's their narrative. And the Democrats at every turn validate that narrative with their goofy ad saying, I'm always against sex changes. I'm in favor of a strong border. This is the exact same problem that John Kerry had in 2004. He lost to George W. Bush, not just the Electoral College, but also the popular vote. Sound familiar? And that's because John Kerry said, I'm going to take George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, their framing of the world, and I'm going to say, I agree, but I'm going to do it better. So in other words, the Iraq War, I'm in favor of the Iraq War. I just want to do it more intelligently. He's doing it the stupid way. It doesn't work if you take your opponent's framing and you use it. So in other words, you need to counter the immigrants and trans people are the problem argument with, no, it's the financial elites. It's Wall Street. It's the billionaires. They're the problem. They've bought the government. They've rigged the government. That's why it doesn't represent you anymore. That's why we don't have a higher minimum wage. That's why we don't have the PRO Act. That's why we don't have higher taxes on the wealthy. That's why we don't have universal health care. That's the argument. And then, by the way, if you want to get into the realm of social issues, yummy in my tummy. Because it is so easy to flip all this bullshit right back on Republicans. Because they are the authoritarians. So, yeah. Oh, you want to talk about LGBTQ issues? Well, how about the fact that in 2022, you guys tried to vote against gay marriage? 36 Republican senators voted against it, and 169 Republican congressmen voted against it. This is way out of step with the American people, and the American people hate this. They believe in freedom, and they believe in liberty, and they believe in equality for LGBTQ people as well. Go on the fucking offense against these assholes. Go on the offense against these assholes. The idea that you're always playing defense, right? The idea that you're always like, oh, no, we agree here. That's part of the problem. In what world? So, let's take James Carville at his word here. Okay, then what could the Democrats have done in this realm of wokeness in order to win? More fervently agree with Republicans? Is that your brilliant idea? That would have changed the results of this election? No, it fucking wouldn't have. He knows it fucking wouldn't have. Look, to be fair to him, and I'll end on this point of agreement, to be fair to him, he literally does go on in this same video to say Bernie Sanders is right, and we should have ran on higher minimum wage, for example, and hammered away on that. So now he is seemingly getting half the picture, right? The half the picture he's seemingly getting is you got to be more populist on economic policies. You just have to. So that part he gets. Good, glad, happy about all that. But the part that he doesn't get is he really thinks that if Democrats just agree completely with Republicans on the social issues, that they'd be better off. And that's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. Looking at a guy like Trump, who's the most divisive, unhinged character in modern American history, and you're saying we need to be less divisive? No, we need to be more divisive. Actually, make a fucking argument for your positions. Make a fucking argument. Is it really the position of Nancy Mace that this new trans congresswoman is going to assault her in the bathroom? Are we really supposed to believe that? Fucking of course not. Stop beating up on this poor community that never did anything to hurt anybody, and now they're getting the brunt of all the blame in this country. It reminds me of the anti-gay panic in the 1980s, 1990s. There's now just an anti-trans panic. So anyway, there you have it. James Carville going after Jon Stewart, and of course, Jon Stewart is 100% correct. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.